Welcome to the JJ Michaels Show. Today, JJ is going to talk about subjects such as you're not a Republican.
You're not a Republican!
And the silo. Are we living in it?
A marketing firm called Cox Media Group has recently revealed that it is listening to user conversations via their smartphones through its so-called active listening software.
And now, put your hands together for JJ Michaels.
Hey! Hello! Welcome back. I missed you. Next line. We didn't go anywhere. Yeah? What'd you say? There it is. Well, I missed you guys. I hope, whether or not I would say it ordinarily, I hope you missed me. Did you miss me as much as I? JJ Michaels of the Political Spectrum podcast. As much as I missed you. Doubtful. All right. But there's a couple things that I want to talk about today. Actually, we're going to do something like a little bit different. I want to talk about just one topic. I'm not really sure why I want to do it that way. I think it's because I think it'll be easier for people, for new listeners, to find the episodes that they want to listen to if it's just like, here's what the episode topic is. I'm don't get me wrong, we're still going to do the surveys of the news, and in fact, I don't have the topic yet. I'm going to figure it out right now. We're going to go on to ground.news, and we're going to just kind of look through it and figure out a good topic of discussion. All right. What else? What else is going on before we get there? I mean, do we need to talk about anything else before we get there? Last week we did a review of ground.news, and it was really good. The website. So we're going to use it this week. They don't sponsor us, but they could. Just like nobody sponsors us, but they could. And it's shocking because we're growing by leaps and bounds. We now have, I don't even know how many listeners. And by the way, if you are listening or watching this episode because it's gone viral, welcome to the show. I'm just as shocked as you are. I didn't see this coming, but here we are, you and me. For the rest of you that were already here, you were early adopters. And, you know, probably the reason this episode went viral is because you kept sharing it with people and telling people that they ought to listen to it on Stitcher or Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or that they should watch it on YouTube, the JJ Michaels program. Just search for it. Political Spectrum. You told so many people that virility was inevitable, and it did happen in the future from now, right? So welcome those of you that are in the future to what is my now and our future together. That sounded like a Kamala Harris speech. Okay. Well, what's going on? It's Friday. It's Friday when I'm recording this. Probably Friday when I'm releasing it. Who knows when you're listening to it? I'm drinking a nice coffee, made, of course, with my Breville Express, a non-sponsor of the show. I still recommend it. If you know any of those folks, let them know how much I recommend it. Maybe they can send me some free filters or something. Despite, I learned this recently, despite being called Breville and making espresso machines with lovely design, and their toasters are great too. They're actually an Australian company. You would have thought that they were Italian, right? But that probably explains the reliability of their products. Wow, another Breville pitch. And like a shot at Italian. I don't know. Are Italian products unreliable? I think some of their cars were for a while, but try telling that to a Ferrari owner. I actually have no idea if those are reliable either. But I do know that the Breville Express by Australian manufacturer Breville is highly reliable, and it's proved to be for me. But that is enough talking about that. We could talk about it more later. So yeah, I got some emails about last week's review show or whatever it was, and one of them said, I really like listening to you talking about a website that you're looking at that I can't see. It was something like that. And I don't think they were being sarcastic, but maybe they were. Not really sure. Either way, this is not a review episode. This is a Friday episode, and let's take a look-see at what's going on ground.news. If you don't know, then what ground.news is a kind of a news aggregator type thing, and it helps us to find news stories that are, I don't know if they're unbiased, but they are presented for review without bias, meaning they're not getting filtered by somebody that says you should read this story or you should that story. And then it tells us what the anticipated bias should be. Okay. So let me click this button here and switch the camera over so that those of you that are watching can see what I'm looking at. For the rest of you, I will paint a beautiful word picture, as I'm wont to do, as a painter of beautiful word pictures, as many have called me. Many others have agreed with those people. Anyway, okay. Here we are on Ground News. Staring me in the face is a big face. Former Vice President Dick Cheney will vote for Harris, daughter Liz Cheney says. Okay, well, first of all, I like that they're calling Kamala Harris because I just don't think she's earned first name status. That's just me. She's Harris. She's not Kamala. And also, I think like Kamala sounds interesting and exotic and like an interesting person. Harris sounds more like a career politician who's just kind of been she calls herself the last one in the room when she's decision making with the technical president. I would say like last one standing. So anyway, Harris. Former Vice President Dick Cheney will vote for Harris. His daughter Liz Cheney says, what point are you no longer a Republican? Should this be the episode? Is this what we should talk about? Will this be our one thing? At what point are you no longer a Democrat? Tulsi Gabbard. She is no longer a Democrat. She became an independent. So she's supporting Trump. She ran for the to get the Democrat presidential nomination 4 years ago. And she was a Democrat congresswoman. Yeah, so she literally is no longer a Democrat. Okay, well then let's get back to the Cheneys. You got Liz Cheney saying that she is going to not just support Kamala Harris, but vote for Kamala Harris. She's going to do more than not vote for Trump. She's going to vote for Kamala Harris. Okay. I don't think any of us are surprised by that. Liz Cheney is not a big Donald Trump fan. Liz Cheney, of course, daughter of former Vice President Dick Cheney, who, of course, was vice president under Republican President George W. Bush, called W by some, called George Bush by others. And she is not only not supporting Trump, she's voting for Harris. And she's not only voting for Harris, but she has said, I think in the same speech, that she's going to be working with Colin Allred, who is trying to take out Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, Republican, Colin Allred, Democrat. And she can't vote for him because she's not from Texas. But yeah. So let's get back to my initial question. At what point are you just not a Republican? They keep referring to Liz Cheney as Republican, Liz Cheney. But I kind of feel like if you are voting for Democrat presidential candidates, I kind of feel like if you are actively working on campaigns for Democrat senatorial candidates, then you're not really a Republican. And you may be a Democrat. Just saying, you might be a Democrat. It's like you might just be a redneck jokes. You guys remember those? You might just be a redneck. If you got whatever they were, like, I don't know, if you got more cinder blocks under your car than tires, you might just be a redneck. There were jokes like that. They're a little bit better than that. But I feel like that's what this is. If you're supporting the Democrat candidate for president, you might just be a Democrat. And if you're running campaign with Democrat senators, well, you just might be a Democrat. Is that possible? I mean, I'm not saying that people shouldn't support anybody that is from a different party. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a Republican politician, elected politician, who is elected by Republican voters and some Democrats, I'm sure, and sits on committees with other Republicans. When she was Congresswoman, she lost her primary, so she's about to be out. This isn't like you or me. Actually, I'm not registered by any party, but whatever. This isn't like an ordinary person just saying, I'm voting for Trump this year, or I'm voting for Harris, for Kamala this year. No, this is a politician. And that R next to her name means she's like a member of a party. And what a political party is a group of people with like-minded political, theories, ideals, and they have a platform, a written out list of policy objectives that the party signs on to. And if you agree with those, you join that party. If you're a member of that party, you presumably agree with those things. If you agree with what the other party says or a different party, then you remember that you should be a member of that party. So my question back for Liz Cheney and others, and anyone really, and you, the loyal audience, is I just don't understand at what point are you no longer a Republican? That's what I don't understand. Wouldn't it be weird if Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is now campaigning for Trump, wouldn't it be weird if he was still a registered Democrat? He's not anymore. But wouldn't it be weird if he was? Be like, you're actively opposing the party that you're a member of? I don't think you understand what membership means. We got to have a talk about membership. So, yeah, for Liz Cheney, it's like, do you know what membership? I'm just a little confused. And I guess you could put in all of they used to call them I think they did. Used to call them log cabin Republicans. Republicans call them rhinos, which if you mercifully don't spend much time online, good on you. And it stands for Republican in name only. Yeah, like a lot of those, like the Mitt Romney types. I think that's called like the Lincoln Project now. But why not just leave the party? I guess because they're also power hungry and they want to get committee positions and things like that. But just join the other party. Oh, here's a good good example from the other side. What's his name? Come on, it's up. Senator, West Virginia Senator. Come on, Joe Manchin. Why is he even a Democrat? He doesn't do anything or agree with anything Democrats say. I think that he's not really conservative enough to be a Republican, but just be an independent. At least Bernie Sanders has the intellectual consistency, intellectual honesty to just be an independent. So just be an independent. They'll still put you on committees and things. You're a senator, I don't know. They still need votes. What do they say? Caucus? An independent, and it caucuses with the Democrats. Just be one of those. It's fine. So for Liz Cheney, just at least be an independent. You're not a Republican, Liz Cheney. You're not a Republican. That was a Jerry Seinfeld impression. You're not a Republican. What's the deal with Liz Cheney? She says she's a Republican, but she doesn't do anything Republicans do. You're not a Republican! I almost didn't do the show today because I was in a good mood and I was worried that looking at the news was going to put me in a bad mood. Just the opposite. Being back with the JJ Michaels family, is putting me in a great mood. Yeah, you're not a Republican. And I don't mind. I just don't like when people say things that they aren't, right? I don't like when it's the political spectrum. I really, really don't like when somebody says something knowing that what they're saying isn't what it is. Does that make sense? Like, you can't call a chair a three-legged stool and just make us all call it a three-legged stool. You are not a Republican. Anyway, so is that even news? Or is it just something designed and planted in the news to bother me and annoy me? We don't know. You know why? We don't know. And this is the topic for the day. I found the topic. We don't know because we live in the silo. We live in the silo. We're in the silo, guys. Do you know what the silo is? Do you know what the silo is? It's a TV show. And it was it is, I think, on Apple TV. No, it is because season 2 is coming out in November. And it's based on a book, a series of books. It's really good. I've never read the books, but the show's really good. I didn't read the books because I decided I didn't want to ruin the show. You know, like, I think most people, or usually it's the other way around. You want to read the books first and then enjoy the show. Well, I watched the first season of The Silo on Apple TV a month or so ago, and I decided not to read the books because the season 2 is coming out in November, and I wanted to, I don't know, I just wanted to watch the show. What is the point? The point is, we're in the silo. What's the silo? If you haven't seen the show, watch it, first of all. Second of all, I'm going to try to explain this without ruining it, but you can listen, by the way. If you're going to watch the show, don't turn off right now. Are you still there? Don't leave if you left. Well, if you left, it's too late. You know what? And you're not a good audience member. So if you left, don't even come back. Don't come back. If you left when I was about to talk about the silo, because you thought I was going to give you a spoiler, and then right as you were clicking to turn off the podcast, you heard me say, don't worry, there's going to be no spoilers, but you still clicked it anyway. Like when you accidentally hang up on someone, and then you came back, and this is where we are, just leave again. I don't want you. You're not my audience member. You don't trust me. So why should I trust you? You thought I was going to give a spoiler, and our loyal members knew I would never do that. Never do that. Or we could try again. I'm willing to try again. I hope you didn't click off right before I said I'm willing to try again. But if you did and you're coming back, it's me, JJ. I'm back. Sorry, let's try again. Let's start over. And I didn't even want to get into whose fault it is. There is no spoiler here, but we are going to talk a little bit about the plot of The Silo so that you can understand what I mean when I say we're in it. Basically, it's some indeterminate time in the future. There's been some type of holocaust, like a nuclear holocaust. And something, we actually don't know. The world has fallen apart. It's become desolate, wasteland. And these people, 5,000 or so of them, live in this gigantic silo underground, and it's a complete ecosystem, 50 levels, floors deep, right? Okay. So what we learn at some juncture, we learn this pretty quickly, is that everything you're doing in the silo is being watched and heard, and everything that you're doing is being monitored through various mechanisms. And of course, when such happens, you're at constant risk of exposure, and you're also at constant risk of being, who you are being twisted, right? So this happens in the silo. So this is like East Germany. There's a great movie. I can't remember the name of it, but that talks about the Stasi in East Germany, and it's pretty crazy what you could do when you have what they did under the Soviet Union, East Germany, East Berlin, is they would have actual like microphones and bugs and such in thousands of ordinary people's homes. And there were people whose jobs were just to listen to them in case they said something unpatriotic or that made them risky or made them like a threat to democracy. I don't know if they said that in Soviet communist East Germany, but kind of the same thing. All right, so why am I saying this? Because you know how everybody has said to one of their friends, "Hey, isn't that so weird? We're just talking about this, and now look, I got like an ad." It's like they're listening to my Apple Watch, or they're listening to my phone. You know what I'm talking about? Everybody's had that conversation. Ha 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 ha. Funny, right? Where I don't know. I was just talking about it's really time for us to get new curtains, and oh my goodness, I put my phone up and there's curtain ads on there. That's just the darndest thing. And we kind of half thought that we were being listened in on, but we kind of half thought that's crazy. Well, it's not paranoid if they really are out to get you. Cox Media Group. You ever hear of Cox Media Group? They're very big. Very big. Okay. They own many things. It doesn't matter. Just look it up. They own newspapers. They own all kinds of things. Cox, and they also do advertising. Cox Media Group reveals its active listening software spies on user conversations. Clients of Cox Media, you following me here? Clients who are using this, or at least are clients of Cox Media, include Meta, Facebook, Instagram, etc., and Google. Google, you know, like the search company, the company that, 50% likely owns the browser Chrome that you're using. They sell ads to like everybody. You probably use their Gmail service. It's email. Google. Ever hear them? I see I was in a good mood. I'm going to read for our old school radio listeners. A marketing firm called Cox Media Group has recently revealed that it is listening to user conversations via their smartphones through its so-called active listening software. With this, the company will push advertisements that users will see on certain platforms based on the heard conversations, as unveiled by a report. The famed media conglomerate, Cox Media Group, told you they're famed, infamous, I would say now, is known for its massive partnership with Meta's Facebook and Google, among other big tech clients. Guys, holy cannoli. Do you see what I'm saying here? Do you see what this is saying? Do you understand what this is saying? Are you with me? The story came out 2 or 3 days ago, and did you hear about it? Please tell me you heard about it. Please tell me this is not the first time you're hearing about this, okay? If it is, you're welcome. I guess now we know why the show went viral. Yeah, guys, like that's the silo. That's East Germany. That's crazy. And we kind of knew, right? But we thought it was funny. Or we suspected. But that's weird. Those curtains. We're just talking about curtains. Now they're trying to sell me curtains. Curtains. With a T. Yeah. Okay. So, but here's the good news. I'm sure the government doesn't use technology like that because they would never. It would be illegal. And we also know that the government does not collaborate or work with or manipulate companies like Facebook and Google. Or wait, hang on a second. Let me just look something up real quick. Mark Zuckerberg. And let's just look up. Mark Zuckerberg admits government interference. Let's just search for that and see what happens. You know this story, though, right? Because this was a while ago. Okay, here it is. This was from a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to switch over for the viewers at home. Zuckerberg says he regrets caving to White House pressure on content. Meta CEO tells the House Judiciary Committee that he wishes he had been more outspoken against Biden administration efforts during the pandemic. In this announcement, Zuckerberg he also talks about the Hunter Biden laptop story, which he says later turned out to be real, and he admits that they suppressed because of government pressure. So why am I bringing this up? JJ, that sounds more partisan than your typical approach. No, it's not partisan. What I'm trying to say is the same government that openly now pressures these very same companies, Meta, Google, etc., Facebook, to parrot their lines and to censor speech. We now know that these companies are also using software to eavesdrop on your phone and other listening devices when you're not on your phone. I feel like you don't understand what I'm saying. Maybe that's clear enough now. Do you get what they're doing? Your watch, your stupid Amazon thing to turn the lights on and off, your phone, when you're not using it, this software records what you're saying and then uses it to target advertisements. And what I'm saying is, does anybody believe that Google and Facebook, let's just say they haven't yet, but let's just say the federal government or any government wanted to say, Facebook, or Cox Media Group, we want you to also target people that say we're living in the silo. No, I'm just kidding. Whatever. That they would not capitulate, just like they have every other time in recent history that the government has forced these exact same companies. All you gotta do is say it's a threat to democracy. All you gotta do is say Trump is literal Hitler. All you gotta do is say Kamala's a communist. I don't know what you have to do. It doesn't seem all that hard. And they give in. And that's assuming that our government is not using these technologies itself. I can't believe this is becoming like an Alex Jones style rant. The government, Bush, the government. But I just feel like it has to be said. And even if the government's not using such technologies, it's arguably worse that our oligarchs who are half running the world, Google, Facebook, et cetera, that they're doing this stuff really should anger you. It should anger you. And I don't know what the answer is. I know what an answer could be. The answer could be that we need to return, I'm pointing out my window, that we need to return to an analog world. I look out my window and I see 1, 2, 3, 4 neighbors. And I know my neighbors. Do you know your neighbors? Well, actually, my wife knows. I don't talk to them, but my wife does. My wife knows our neighbors. Do you, or at least your wife, know your neighbors? We need to return to an analog world. It's not too late. It's not too late. We know it's not too late because when everybody started getting deplatformed a few years ago, it kind of didn't work because there's still too many other things that you could do. There's too many other options. And everybody just decided to stop using Amazon, and I love Amazon. Amazon Prime is incredible. If everybody just stopped deciding to, they don't sponsor the show, but they could. If everybody just decided to stop using it, you still can just drive to the grocery store and get your groceries. There still are bookstores. I was driving by Barnes & Noble today with Mrs. Michaels, and I was saying, when was the last time you went to Barnes & Noble? I used to go there all the time when my oldest kid was young, and they had like trains and stuff and books and kids section, and just take him there for an hour or so. He can play with the trains and read books. Nobody goes there anymore, but they're still open. right? It's not too late. We still could disconnect. There's still television that comes over the air. And if you haven't done it lately, by the way, it's great. It's high def, and you just get a little digital satellite, and it's free, and you get all the local high def channels. Where I live in Central Texas, you get like 20 channels, right? It's free, and it's great, and it doesn't listen to you. You could still buy devices that don't listen to you. It's not too late. We could still go at least more analog and detach. But there will come a tipping point when it is too late. And if things like this story, where they not only admit it, Cox Media Group put this in a presentation, like a slide deck at some sort of investors meeting. I don't know exactly what it was, or a conference, as like a, hey, look at this great thing that we're doing. We're going to make so much money. In the presentation, they even say, sounds illegal, right? But it's not. Like, oh my God. Like, they know this is terrible. And they're even saying to their own people, like, yeah, I know. You think that probably should be illegal, but like, honestly, dude, it's totally legal. Can you even believe it, man? It's still legal. That was supposed to be an imitation of like a rednecky pot dealer or something like that. I don't know. You believe it's legal, man? Gets you so messed up. But yeah, that's like, if that doesn't make you think it might be time to disconnect, it might be time to go a little more analog. Might be time to get off social media. It might be time to put my phone down and be in real life. I don't know what it's going to take for you. What is it going to take for you if companies straight up admitting we use all of the devices in your house, even when they're not on, to listen to what you're saying, to sell you stuff? If that doesn't do it, what's going to do it? I don't know. Well, we'll find out, because that's not the end. There's going to be more, and maybe at some point you will get off that train, and I'll get off the train too. Except for this podcast. You have to keep listening to the podcast. That you have to do. I don't know. Maybe we'll start doing terrestrial radio, except like not like the real syndicated radio. Just like you'd have to be like a mile from the house, but that's probably not a good idea. But it's time. It's time for the end of the show. And it's also time for you to start really thinking about, do I want to continue to be quote unquote connected, or has it reached the tipping point for you where the benefit that you get out of these technologies is not worth what you're giving up for that benefit, where the trade-off is not worth it? Whenever that moment is for you, I hope it's not too late for you or me when you reach that moment. I don't mean that apocalyptically. I mean there's a tipping point when, as a society, we're so embedded in these things that we don't remember or know how to operate without them. And I know we're not there yet, but we'll get there. That's how it works. All right. You guys are great. Thank you for your emails. Thank you for your claps. I know you're probably clapping right now. You're like, JJ, amazing show. Thank you for your support. And I will see you guys next time. No more promises on when next time is. I don't keep them. I wanted to do this thing every day. I don't know. Let's see. I'll see you next time. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe Monday. Maybe next week. Not sure. Send me a note. Say hello. Share this with other people. Now it's Friday. Turn your phone off and do something with somebody who physically exists. Thank you.